Hello and welcome to Conscious Living with me, Lauren Polly, the place to be to expand your living and become the you that you've always wanted to be. I'm happy that you are tuning in today to talk about how to declutter your physical space to then declutter your inner space. It is a fascinating thing to start looking at being embodied. And being embodied, yes, it means that you have a body, you are physically embodied, but also it means that you embody a life. You have elements of your living. You have relationships, you have money, you have businesses, you have family and friends. One of the things and one of the ways that we are embodied and how we interact with our environment is our house. It's our physical possessions that we actually have around us. They are an outward expression of our inner state a lot of times, or have the ability to impact our inner state based on how we take care of them. It's kind of fascinating to me to start looking around, and like I have a desk that I work at, and at the beginning of the week, once I've cleaned, it's all very organized, and I look at it and it just has this organized, beautiful feel to it that calms me down. It's manageable. It's inviting for me to go up and sit and type and write my next podcast or my next blog. It's also a beautiful space for me to do sessions because it is so clean and pristine. And as the week goes by and the busier I get and the more mail that comes in, there's little piles that start to develop. There's a little pile over here. There's a little pile over here. I would say halfway through the week, the piles are what I like to call creative chaos, where yes, they may look chaotic to somebody else, and that's actually an energy that I enjoy. I still know what's going on. There's creation in that. There's an organization of that creative chaos on my desk. I still know where things are. I'm working them through. There is a point, though, where I leave it a little bit too long and that creative chaos becomes a havoc energy, where by the end of the week, I want to go and actually work, and I take a look at my desk and it is totally covered. There's just this cluttery feeling, and what does that actually bring up in my mental and emotional state? A sense of overwhelm. It is not inviting to go sit and actually do work anymore. I want to avoid it. It's amazing to me how our physical environment can actually create inner stress based on if we're paying attention to it or not. And this is kind of the way that I would love to invite you to play with that this week. What if actually caring for the way that you were embodied in your physical environment lent itself to you being more joyfully embodied in your inner state? A lot of times I find people who aren't super connected to their body, they're not really present in their life, or they're so kind of like taken off the path in a creative bubble that they stop paying attention. And when they do, that's when the clutter starts to come in. Unfortunately, even if you're not paying attention to your physical environment and it is kind of havoc-y and super messy, you get invisible energy suckers where those bills that get piled up and don't get paid start to pull on you. Quietly, but they're pulling. The disinviting energy to sit at your desk and write is an energy sucker that starts to pull on you. The avoidance behaviors, and also just the lack of presence to really look around and go, wow, I haven't paid attention to things lately. I haven't maybe paid attention to my body. It's a little bit unkept here. Okay, maybe I should change that. Actually adds a lot to your inner space as well. So this is one thing I would love to invite you just to play with this week. Yes, you don't have to become like pristine, like someone could come in with a white glove and wipe down and no dust would be found. It doesn't have to be that. You also don't have to organize it in a way like anyone else would. Like I said, I've got my creative chaos. It works for me, and it's still an inviting energy to play with. I would invite you to start looking at how the organization could work for you, the way that your brain functions, because your brain functions totally different than anybody else. Start to experiment with different ways to organize, different setups, and see what will occur that way. And beyond that, and maybe first and foremost, make the demand to actually be present with your embodiment. Being present with your body, how you're taking care of it, and what you're surrounding it with, and how that starts to interplay with your inner state. Start to notice when things get a little bit messy where you haven't paid attention in a while, and what occurs when you start to look at it. Is there stress? Is there overwhelm? Is there clutter that starts to come up? Are you avoiding certain things? Just get through it. Add a little bit more organization, be more present with it, and you may start to notice just a change in your inner state and a change in your creative energy. If you're avoiding certain things and they're invisibly sucking the life from you and taking away from your productivity and the balance that you have, it's not going to suit you in the long run. Being present, being embodied, and actually being here in your physical form changes when you're willing to pay attention to the little things. Play with it this week and start to see what changes when you actually allow yourself to declutter your physical space and what that can change in your inner space as well. I will talk to you next week.